Hi, I'm Kelsey Small here at the Ooni Test Kitchen in Austin, Texas. And today I'm making a classic New York style pizza from the Ooni Volt. We're gonna do a simple, classic cheese pizza with low moisture mozzarella, crushed tomatoes, and oregano and Parmesan. But first, let's make our pizza dough. So New York style pizza dough is a little bit different than your Neapolitan dough. It has some fat, which is olive oil, and it has a little sugar in it. It adds a little crunch, a little flavor, helps the texture. It uses bread flour instead of double O flour. First, we're gonna add our water to the KitchenAid and our yeast. And then I like to just add my salt and sugar to the flour immediately. You can add your salt afterwards. And then we'll add our oil. And then we're gonna add our flour, salt, and sugar to the mix. And we're gonna mix this for 4 minutes on low speed. It's been 4 minutes and our dough is looking good, so we're gonna get it out of this mixer and into a bowl to proof. Like when I'm taking dough out, I like to have a little water right here because that way it doesn't stick to your hands. Scoop it out. And we're gonna cover this and let it proof for an hour, and then we're gonna do a fold. So our dough's been resting for an hour, and we're gonna do our fold. So I'm just taking my corners of the dough, and I'm just folding it over itself. And I'm not pulling it too much. I'm just kind of like letting the dough do the work. And then I'm gonna flip it over and kind of like reform it into a ball. We're gonna let it rest for another hour, and then we're gonna repeat this process 2 more times. So we've done our 3 folds, and our dough's been proofing, and it's ready to form. So this dough is a little wet, so we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour underneath where we're gonna scrape it out. And I'll use a bench knife to get it all there. Normally, a 12-inch pizza is about 250 grams, but I like a larger, puffier crust on my New York style pizza, so I'm gonna do these at 270 gram dough balls. And with a dough like this, if it's feeling wet on your fingers, you know, a little extra flour is not gonna hurt it, you know? Make it sure, like, start off with more flour if it's more comfortable for you, and then as you get more experience, you can use less and less. And to form, I'm just gonna start folding it in on itself and making a nice tight skin. Again, if your fingers are sticking, just a little dab of flour will help. Kind of roll it over itself. Kind of just tucking it in on itself, forming the dough ball, tightening it up. All right, so now that these are all formed, I'm gonna cover them and we'll let them proof in the fridge for 24 hours. And you can leave these in the fridge for up to 2 to 3 days, and they'll be really, really awesome. Now that our dough is proofed and ready, it's time to preheat our oven. For the Ooni Volt, we're gonna turn it on, and we're gonna set our temperature to 650. This should take about 15 minutes to preheat. It'll beep when it's ready to go. Our oven is preheated to 650, and now we're gonna stretch and top our dough. But first, we're gonna adjust the heating elements. With the Volt, you have dual heating elements that disperse the heat from the stone and the top of the oven. So that way, if you want to get a super crispy pizza, you can have more heat towards the bottom. If you're cooking a pizza at super high heat, you want to have that adjusted properly, depending on what kind of pizzas you're doing. So for New York, we want to have a crunchy pizza with a nice rise and be able to hold a fold. So we're going to adjust our heat to about 3 towards the bottom and then the rest towards the top. A little goes a long way with the Volt on the stone. Too much towards the stone, you're gonna end up with a burnt bottom, and you don't want that. So I would say between 2 and 3 towards the stone is always a great option. All right, let's stretch our pizza. When stretching our pizza, I have a little bit of flour, and I'm just trying to build a crust. And if it's feeling a little sticky, just use a little extra flour. Don't be afraid of it, especially when you're first starting out. And with the Volt, we're only cooking 12-inch pizzas here. And we have a nice proof dough. It's proofed overnight in the fridge, and it's been sitting at room temperature for about 6 hours. Awesome. If you have little bubbles, just go ahead and pop them, they're fine. We have a nice crust, and we're gonna start topping it with our tomato sauce. And we're using about 3 ounces of tomato sauce. This spoon is 3 ounces, and I'm using the bottom of the spoon just to spread it out. And then we'll do a little bit of dried oregano and our shredded mozzarella. Now you can use any kind of cheese, you know. Make sure you'll see in New York style pizza places, some of them will have a little bit of fontina in them. Some of them will have a little provolone or fresh mozz mixed in with your dry mozz. But the loin moisture mozz melts really well, and that's how you get that awesome cheese pull. All right. And then we'll sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan. Now this guy's ready to cook. Now you'll see I'm using this perforated pan. I do this especially when you're starting off and you're using a little bit extra flour and you're getting used to stretching dough. The perforated pan is great because you can do that and it gets a little of that excess flour off the bottom. That way it doesn't burn in the oven. And now that it's in, we're gonna set our timer for 6 minutes. Halfway through, 3 minutes left, we're gonna give it a 90-degree turn. All right, it's been 6 minutes and our pizza is ready to come out. So we got nice cries on the crust, golden brown, cheese is perfectly melted. We got a nice looking classic New York style pizza. If your bottom is golden brown, it's nice and crunchy, it's not gonna flop over. The great thing about these Ooni Volts is that it really can make a perfect crispy pizza. All right, all we have left to do is slice and enjoy. Looks great. Got a nice crumb. It's got a great chew. Cheesy, crunchy, but also still kind of light and fluffy dough. It's a great first pizza out of your Volt. It's a nice, easy start to your pizza making journey. For recipes you can cook on the Volt and more, head over to Ooni.com.